Cold email is net. You've heard it. Every LinkedIn guru with a ring light has announced it, usually in a post that ends with, and that's why I go to course. Look, they're about half right. Cold email, well, the way most people still run it is absolutely dying, very loudly and in public. But the half that they're very wrong about, that's where all the money is. So in the next 10 minutes, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. What's actually dead, and what's quietly working better than ever. Why you're paying 5 subscriptions for the privilege of being ignored, and what we did about this. Let's start with the murder mystery, because there is a body. In 2019, the average cold email got a reply about 8.5% of the time. And by 23, that was 7%. Last year, 5%. This year, it's all the way down to 3.4%. So if you zoom out, cold email looks like it's speedrunning its own funeral. And in 2024, this whole thing got even worse because Google and Yahoo showed up to that funeral way early with paperwork. They came up with these new bulk sender rules. Number 1, authenticate your domain. Number 2, one-click unsubscribe. Number 3, it keeps spam complaints under 0.3%. 0.3%. That's like 3 annoyed human beings per 1,000 emails. Just 3. I mean, I personally know 3 people who report their own newsletter. Question, is cold email dead? No. And here's the first thing nobody tells you. The channel isn't really dying, it's the strategy that is. So what died was spray and pray, scraping tens and thousands of quote-unquote decision makers and blasting the same quick question template at all of them, and calling that your go-to market strategy, which honestly is pretty shit. Because while the average sank to 3.4%, top senders are still pulling reply rates north of 10. Same channel, same crowd in inboxes, triple the results. The difference isn't even a better subject line, it's that they stopped emailing strangers at random and started emailing people who were already raising the hand, which brings us to the actual point of this video. Take a quick detour. You see, every cold email ever sent is a bet, and that bet is that this exact person on this exact Tuesday has the exact problem that you solve. Most of the time, you lose that bet. And intent data is exactly how you stop betting. Because right now, today, someone in your market is posting on Reddit, oh, our outreach stack is a nightmare. What is everyone switching to? And someone on LinkedIn is publicly complaining about your competitor, whereas someone on X is describing the exact problem your product exists to solve to an audience of 11 people. That's not a lead, that is a hand raised in public. Timestamp free for you to collect and use. The only question is whether you see it before your competitor does, because here's the second thing nobody tells you. Timing beats copywriting every single time. A mediocre email that arrives the day someone's shopping beats a masterpiece that arrives 6 months early. All right, so where does the intent actually hide? 4 different places, and none of them in our database that you can buy. Number 1, competitor complaints. Someone publicly noted a tool that you compete with is the warmest stranger on the internet. Number 2, alternative hunts. Every quote-unquote what should we switch to thread is a buying committee thinking out loud. Number 3, problem posts. These are people describing the pain your product kills without knowing that you exist. And number 4, trigger events. New funding, new hires, a new head of sale who wants to rip out the yellow stack and look brilliant doing it. Now this 4th one, now it's getting super popular these days, and it's one of those signals that everyone's using, so take that with a grain of salt. Now none of these things show up in a static lead list, because a lead list tells you who someone is. Intent tells you what they want, and that expires fast, which is exactly why the next part matters. Now, what nobody tells you is that the reply you're chasing doesn't have to happen in email. Your buyer lives at about 4 to 5 inboxes and treats about 2 of them as their spam housing, Now, the sequence that actually work in 2026 run across different channels. You reply where they posted on the thread the same day while it's warm. You connect with them on LinkedIn later that afternoon. And when your email lands 2 days later, it isn't really cold anymore. It's familiar. There's a face, there's some context. They know who you are. They know what you're trying to do. And it's just better. And there's a reason about all this. While you're at it, go white. Threading into more than one person at the same company lifts response rates by up to 99%. One conversation with many doors. So intent fixes who and when, and multi-channel fixes where, which leaves one last problem, the expensive one. Now I'm going to unpack the standard 2026 outreach stack a lot of people are telling you to use. Now play along with me because this is really fun, and the way horror movies are super fun. Now starting off, you got Apollo for the database, obviously. Now their professional plan is $99 per user per month. Now instantly for the sending and sequencing. Now their hyper growth plan is $97 a month, and of course the leads live in a separate product. That's another $97 in credits. Now HeyReach for LinkedIn is $79 a seat. Now all of that included with Warmup, extra inboxes, domain, that is north of $500 a month per person. Now hire just one teammate and watch a lot of this just double. because everything here is priced per seat. So congratulations, you're not really running a sales stack, you are running a subscription charity, and it needs to stop immediately. And honestly, it gets a whole lot worse because that's just a sticker price. Nobody really tells you about the fine print because Apollo caps your email credits based on how much you've paid. Instantly burns credits when you search, when you preview, when you enrich. I mean, you're literally paying to look at leads. But here's my favorite part. You're paying 3 different tools to store the same contact. The same human being, Jordan, a CRO in Austin, exists inside your database, your tool, your sequencer, and your inbox tool. 3 copies, 3 subscriptions, and none of them talk to each other. And that's the worst part. And when you flitch the bill, every single one of them offers the same medicine. Switch the annual plan and save 20%. Let's be honest, that's not really a discount. That is a longer sentence, which is the perfect setup for a real problem. Because the cost of your stack never shows up in an invoice. Now that's called the handoff tax, and here's how you pay it. Now let's suppose a prospect posts we're evaluating alternatives on LinkedIn on Monday morning. Now your listening tool captures it on Tuesday, and someone on your team exports the CSV on Wednesday. They're going to upload it on Thursday, and the sequence fires Friday, and by Friday they've already booked a demo with a competitor who just replied. Now, the average gap between an intent signal and first touch across a fragmented stack is measured in days, and the actual window, to be very honest, is measured in hours. I mean, that's not all though, because every one of those handoffs loses context. The sequencer, doesn't really know why this lead should exist. The inbox doesn't know what they posted, and by the time your email goes out, the one thing that made this lead worth emailing, the signal, that's been left behind in a spreadsheet named final.v3.final. No, the fix is not to hire an ops person to manage the tools. And that's just paying a human being to be, middleware. Come on, it's 2026. AI can read a Reddit thread, judge intent, enrich the contact, and draft a sequence in seconds. When your outreach is scattered across 7 different logins, that's not really a stack. That is a total liability for the login page. And that's why I have an agenda, because this is exactly why we built BrandJet. Bear with me for a second here. It's just one platform that acts as your listing layer. It watches Reddit, X, LinkedIn, Muse, YouTube, and even TikTok. Your brand, your competitors, your buying keywords, all of it in real time. And when someone raises their hand on the internet, they don't really get exiled to a CSV. They land straight into your leads, enriched with a post that flagged them attached to the record. From there, our visual sequencer runs the play across email, LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, and every reply from every channel lands inside the inbox, already sorted into interested, not interested, on whether or not they need a follow-up. And sitting on top of the whole thing is our AI agent called Artemis. With just one prompt, like find people complaining about their outreach stack this weekend, enrich them, and draft sequences for each channel. And that's all you need for Artemis to run the entire program for you. And a few minutes later, it's done. That's what we like to call signal to pipeline in just a single prompt, with one subscription instead of 5 different ones. So is cold email really dead? No, not really. But bad cold email is dying faster than ever, if it's not already dead. The loud, expensive, context-free cold email, that's been gone for a long, long time. And honestly, good riddance, because nobody liked that. And if you want to see what listening first outreach looks like, the link's below, BrandJet.ai. And do me one favor, go at it what your current stack actually costs and drop the number in the comments. Now the scariest receipt gets bid.